New Jersey trying to deal with this budget crisis with a plan to cut costs on some of its over-the-top benefits for state workers. Now, part of the plan calls for workers to pitch in some of their salary to pay for health care coverage. You know, like the way most American workers do. Both political parties are for it, but unions want to bust it. Ben Stein, you're not surprised.
I'm not at all surprised. Unions have been making a habit of saying, okay, we'll keep pay raises down to a slightly outrageous minimum, but we want a big pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for when we retire. This is what killed the auto industry. This is what killed manufacturing in America to a large extent. The enormous unfunded costs and liabilities for pension funds. Now it's killing the states and municipalities of America. They're going to go the way of Detroit. They're going to have to go into some kind of municipal or statewide bankruptcy unless they can get those pension costs under control, and the workers owe it to themselves to pitch in.
Adam, you know, it's hard to find an argument against what Ben just said, and we see this being played out in countries around the world as well. These high pensions that just can't be paid.
On the merits, it's hard to disagree. I'd like to say that I'm not in favor of union bashing for the sake of union bashing. It doesn't surprise me in the least.
No one's bashing the unions. We're just saying.
No,
listen,
I think we do regularly bash the unions. We talked about a shared
sacrifice in 2009. That was the nation's mantra, right? We're all going to be in this together.
The leaders of the unions have to do their job of advocating for their members. Now, if they lose in the negotiation and they get beaten down and they have to cut back, so be it. But you don't expect them to come out of the gate in a negotiation and say, "Yeah, fine, we'll back off on this."
Okay, Joe, help me out here, because Ben made the point.
Why can't they come out and say we're going to do the sensible thing in the long run for our unions? Why can't they say, look, we're not going to act like crazy people here. We're going to do the sensible thing to preserve our unions and our employees? Why can't they do that?
Because from their perspective, they have made concessions, Ben, and you pointed them out. I mean, they make concessions on the wages. They want it, and they said all along, they've said for years, but what we get in return is the pension benefit. Now, maybe that has to be rethought. That's the process that they're going through here.
Okay, Joe.
But they know it's unsustainable.
Right. It's unsustainable. And, Joe, that's the point Adam brings up. They have to be rethought.
Absolutely. And what the government should do at all levels is come at this with a two-tier approach. First, we are going to have two tiers for compensation and retirement. New workers coming in don't have the same deal as the ones that are there now. Secondarily, those with existing plans over the next 15 years, they're going to be scaled back so the people know what's coming their way to be consistent with fiscal responsibility. We have to get away from this notion when labor speaks, the White House, the State House will listen and bend over. That's what happened with the health care debate and made it real ugly.
We're not getting away from that. We're heading in the opposite direction, something Ben and I both touched on about 2 weeks ago, that there are more workers in the public sector now, in unions, union workers, than there are in the private sector. And you are going to have this vicious circle develop where you raise taxes and raise spending to make the government bigger. There are more union workers there. The unions get the politicians elected, and the politicians make sure that the money is funneled into the unions in any which way, shape, or form.
Even though they have so much of a large role in the government, though, Dagan, do you think they will still have more influence than the average voter out there?
They absolutely possibly could, because they have their hands on the money.
Look what happened with the Cadillac plans at the federal level. They marched in, they told Obama they won't accept it, and miraculously the next day it's gone. So they have leverage, they're going to use it. But the American people have also seen that the U.S. auto industry, non-union, is profitable, making money through a recession. They think, why can't we do this in government? And maybe they'll start voting that way when politicians get weak in the knees when it comes to the union relationship.
Ben, you're a member of 3 unions. What do you think is going to happen?
I think eventually the unions will have to give. Look, it has already happened to us in the entertainment business unions. We have to now make a hefty contribution to our own pension and retirement health care plans. It's no longer freebies. We have to chip in for it, and we have to chip in quite a lot. I don't see why the municipal workers can't do the same thing.
All righty, guys.
Back about the union.
Back to the notion of shared sacrifice. Well, you all know